Hey everybody, welcome back. We're going to do a paraloop with CDC. This is not really a pattern, but more a style of a fly. So I'm going to use Gallo de Leon for the tail. CDC is going to be the Hackle stacker material. Superfine and Antron dubbing. Antron for the thorax, Superfine for the body. And I'm going to use GSP here. I'm going to wax it to start off just because GSP is so slippery. And we'll talk about why I'm using GSP particularly here. It's not so much for its thinness, but for its strength. We're going to really have to wail on a dubbing loop we're going to do, and we don't want the spinning of the dubbing loop to get to a point where it breaks. And GSP is so strong you can twist that all day and make it so tight it will never. I'm sure not never, but it'd be really hard for it to break. So I'm just tying in some tails here real fast, just a basic standard sort of dry fly formula. So those are Gallo de Leon. I spread them out with a wrap or two underneath, up to you. That helps with the flotation when they're spread like that. And I'm just using a little superfine here to create a gently tapered body. Now here's the part you're going to make a dubbing loop. And the dubbing loop needs to be on top. So I pull it straight up and I'm winding back over it to really lock it in so that's on top. I just move it off to the side to get out of my way. Now with a hackle stacker or hackle in a paraloop, you would wind the hackle on this, then make the thorax, then wrap it over. We're just going to proceed forward and do the thorax now. And so I'm just going to use some Antron dubbing here to do that. This is a really neat technique that I saw in a video from a fly tyer that did it a couple of years ago. I'll put a link to the video, and it's from another country, a non-English speaking country. I watched it on mute and I was like, wow, that's a pretty neat little technique. I don't see that used out there much, and so I tried to tie it, and it definitely works tying wise and seems pretty strong, and I don't see why it wouldn't work on the water. So I thought it'd be worth sharing out there for those of you interested in possibly another technique or another idea for designing your flies. And so now I'm going to put my dubbing twister in there, and I'm going to use dubbing wax here, the stuff that's kind of basically like chapstick. We want it to grip, but we want it to be slippery, not super tacky, because after we put in our CDC fibers, we're going to slide it down, right? So these CDC fibers are from folded feathers, using a Petitjean tool, or there's all kinds now. Stockfoam makes them, and basically a feather folder. And so you need to really twist the dickens out of it, because after you slide it down, you need to make sure there's a lot of twists down there in the part of the dubbing loop that enters, is where the CDC is and is really close to the fly. And then like a hackle stacker, you're going to fold it and tie it over. And of course the camera cut out without me knowing it while I was in the middle of it. So I'm just going to show you the finish of this fly that I tied, and then we'll go back and look at another fly just at this part. All right, so here we are. We're sliding it down while it's on top, right? And you want that, and I did white here, so it's maybe a little bit easier to see. So you want it to be just the thickness where it's going to, fold over the thorax. It's just like you would wrap a hackle up the right amount of length up your dubbing loop or mono or whatever you're using for the paraloop hackle stacker. And then again, I like the GSP because you can crank on it, and it's very strong. You can get a lot of turns down there. And I just moved it now over to a Hackle plier, just so it's a little easier to work and you can see. So a couple loose wraps, then you pull, right, like you would the Hackle stacker, and then make sure you really tie it off tight there. And it's slipped a little bit, but it's looped over the thorax now, and I'm going to pull it tight again and pull it back, that loop, and really lock it in place there. And the thin thread does really help here, so you can get a lot of thread wraps up near the head there and not make that head ginormous, and really lock it down. But as you can see, and this is maybe a little bit exaggerated with the amount of CDC I did there, whip finish right now. So this fly is not a great fly, but it's all exaggerated, so you can sort of see the concept of the technique. But what you have is a profile of just the body and thorax that's going to rest in the film, maybe a couple CDC fibers, but the rest of the CDC is going to hold it in the film, you know, floating is that with the tail. And you have really that profile of the body and thorax. So neat idea, neat technique. Enjoy it. All right, take care. Thanks, and comment. Let me know what you think. All right, take care. Bye.